Falkenrath here, Set the Pace Triathlon, and we're here with a video about recovery after your race. So, right now at the time of this recording, we're November of 2020. 2020 has been a rough year for races, so very few people have had to worry about recovery after races because very few races have happened. But we're going to be optimistic about 2021. Races are coming back, and if you're watching this video well past 2021, hey, great. This is for you. This is what you need to do after your races to make sure you're sufficiently recovered before you build on to the next cycle, you look at the next race, or go out and do anything. So I got tips, and hopefully this will help you out. So you did it. Now what? You've done your 70.3, you've done your 140.6, maybe even an Olympic if that is the longest distance you've done. But now you need to know what you need to do to properly recover after your race, because if you don't recover properly and you start training again or doing other physical activities, you can end up injuring yourself pretty easily or set yourself up for some different complications later in your training. So point number one, fluids. Make sure you're drinking lots of water, because that's how you flush the system. That's how you flush the crud out of your muscles, all that lactic acid, all that buildup. Especially if you're doing a full Ironman the day after, drink lots of fluids. That will help with muscle fatigue. That will help with any kind of soreness that's left over. Water, water, water. Pound it pretty good. Don't go overboard, but just make sure you're getting your water. Don't just forget about water like we all typically do during the day and get busy. Make sure you're drinking water. Stay hydrated. Move often. Even though you're going to be sore and you don't want to move, get up and move. The day after Ironman races, usually Ironman Village is open to get that last minute deal. So get up, go walk around, do something. If you're driving, if you're going home the next day after a race, make sure you're stopping often and getting up and walking around, because A, it helps get the muscles moving, flush all that crud out. B, there's a little bit of an issue, if you're sitting in a car directly the day after a race, especially a full Ironman race, there's clotting issues, there's circulation issues, there's other problems that could arise. And if you're sedentary for a length of time, especially in a sitting position, that's not good for your body. So get up and walk often. Sleep, lots of it. Assume after a race, probably going to hopefully be doing a little less training so you can sleep in for a few days. Really reward yourself. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, at least 8 hours a night. Give your body a chance to recover. Cat naps, whatever you got to do. Make sure you're getting that rest in. And we hit frequent walk breaks, driving afterwards. Another one of my points. Protein for muscle recovery. Eat smart, not junk. I know the day after a race, you're like, oh, this is my license to eat whatever I want. I'm not training anymore. This is my break. Yeah, within reason. Maybe have some extra ice cream or something like that, but make sure you're eating the right foods. Get your proteins in, whether it's through nuts and yogurts, or it's through meat, it's through fish, chicken, beef, whatever you're eating. Make sure you're eating smart. Don't just go out and just load up on crud, because that your body's ability to recover will be dictated by the right nutrition that you're putting into it. So if you're putting in donuts versus fish fillet, salmon fillet, or something like that, recovery is going to be a little bit stunted with a donut. So make sure you're putting in the right nutrition and fuel to get recovered. Consider deep tissue massage. I do it, especially at the height of my Ironman training. I'm probably in like once a month. Deep tissue massage to really flush out all that crud. It's not going to be comfortable, especially if you've done a full Ironman, even a half Ironman, or even an Olympic distance or a sprint. I've been plenty sore after a sprint because you're going hardcore. It might hurt, but 1 to 2 days after that event, if you can get a massage scheduled to flush all that crud out, you will be less sore sooner. So if that makes sense, you won't be as sore as long if you get in there and get a deep tissue massage and really get that stuff worked out. So consider that. Massage roller, most of us have one. Unfortunately, I don't have one handy here to throw up here in the video. But if you got that, that's great too. So if you're driving home and you make a stop somewhere, you may look kind of goofy in a parking lot, but you're rolling your muscles out with a massage roller or a foam roller or something like that. Or if you're at home, or if you're staying extra for your vacation or something like that, bring a roller with you. Find one somewhere. I'm sure there's going to be plenty in Ironman Village if you want to buy one real quick. It's probably worth a little bit of extra money to have it there to help roll out the muscles if maybe a massage isn't available for you. Stretch often. Make sure you're getting that static stretching, because if you don't move around, your muscles are all going to kind of tighten up, and you're just going to be walking around being like, I can't straighten anything out because everything's all sore and it just feels more comfortable to be hunched over like that. Make sure you're stretching often. After the race, you're stretching. In the morning, after the race, stretching. During the day, when you're taking your breaks or you're walking around, stretch, stretch, stretch. Keep everything nice and lengthened and properly mobilized so you can actually, function as well. And that will help reduce the delayed onset of muscle cramps and soreness, anything like that. That will help that if you make sure you're keeping your stretching often. When you do get back into training, make sure it's low impact. Swimming is great. I recommend doing swimming the day after a race. Get you in the water, it's low impact, it gets all the muscles moving, flushes all that stuff out, gets your blood pumping, and gets all that crud out of your muscles. I would highly recommend against running for a full Ironman the week after you've done the race. Take a full week off of running whatsoever. 70.3, not as much. I'd take 2 to 3, maybe 4 days off of running after a half Ironman. And then with cycling, you could do it the day after, but super, super easy. Nothing crazy. No, don't go out for a 100-mile ride the day after or something like that unless you're nuts. But cycling, super easy. You can do that the week after. Swimming, you can do that after. Super easy. Running, I'd wait at least a week before you go out there and hit the pavement. Now, walks, that's fine, but I'd avoid the high-impact kind of stuff. Recovery boots. If you got them, use them. I've got Rapid Reboot myself. If you got Normatec or anybody else out there, use them often. When I go on road trips to my races, I pack them and bring them with me. If you're doing a half, do it immediately after we get back to your hotel or whatever. If you're doing a full, and you're traveling, just do it in the morning before you take off for the road trip. And then, hopefully got, a Sherpa or somebody driving for you. So throw them on in the passenger seat, bring an adapter so you can plug them into the car, and you're golden. Just riding down the highway with your Rapid Reboot and recovery boots on. Just use them. Use them if you got them, if you've got the recovery boots. Avoid germs, especially in this day and age of coronavirus. That's kind of our number one goal in life, is to avoid germs. But after your race, your immune system will be severely depressed, more than likely. So make sure you're taking the diligent precautions, washing your hands, if social distancing is still a thing, wearing a mask is still a thing, whatever you got to do, avoid germs. Especially if you're going on a road trip and you're stopping at public restrooms, avoid the germs, wash your hands, use paper towels to open doors and stuff like that when you're done washing your hands. So make sure you're doing the proper precautions to excessively stay away from any opportunities for germs or viruses or anything to get near you, because you are very susceptible in that week after a race, and even after a little bit. Like I said, your immune system is working overtime to do recovery, to repair all that muscle damage you've done in your race day. So avoid germs. Recovery could be weeks. So listen to your body. Even though I said that first week after, no running or anything like that, or no high impact, if you get to 2 weeks later and you go out for a run and stuff's still kind of sore and stuff, that's probably not the time to start it up. Even if you feel good in that second week after a race, more than likely you're still doing some recovery of some sort and your body's not back to 100%. Listen to your body. If anything, if you go out and if you do an easy bike ride and something just doesn't feel right, stop. Take another day off. 1 more or 2 more days of taking off is not going to affect your fitness as much as getting back in there too quick and causing an injury, and then you have to have recovery from that and you're off like months. You don't want to do that. It's better to take a day if you're having any questions about it than cause a problem that could take months to try to figure out. So we definitely don't want any tears. We don't want any sprains. We don't want anything to happen in those 1 to 2 weeks after a big race like a full Ironman race. So make sure you're doing that proper recovery. So that's it. That's all my tips. That's all I got to talk about. So any questions, put them in the comments. As always, hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully this gets you on the path to proper recovery so then you can hit that next race cycle. If you're crazy like me and you do 2 Ironman events in 1 year sometimes, 2020 has Ironman Tulsa and then Ironman Florida. So I'm bookending it. So you got to be smart, and especially Ironman Tulsa and then 70.3 Des Moines. Since I live in Kansas City and those are pretty close to me, there's less than a month in between those races. So I got to play recovery from Ironman Tulsa pretty good to make sure that I'm properly recovered and ready for 70.3 Des Moines. So I want to do well. It looks like a nice course and a fun time. So, as always, questions, put them in the comments. If you need clarifications, put them in the comments. Send me an email, send me a message, Facebook, email, through my website, whatever you got to do to get a hold of me, do it, and I'll get back to you. Hopefully this helps you out, and we'll see you out there. Happy training.